All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is Why Every Generation Hates the Next One. This is coming from the channel Tyreek Simmons. All right, let's check it out.
A lot of them are lazy, disrespectful.
The world is really a mess right now.
I need them more than they need me.
Children are the future. You are the future. I'm finished already. I'm closer to the end than to the beginning. It's about you.
Gen Z slander will no longer be tolerated. We've been the
No. It'll always be tolerated until
laughing stock of media outlets for the past decade, and we will not stand for this any longer. Every claim made against Gen Z has been said about almost every generation previous. But
I mean, you're right. You're right. To a certain extent. I mean, you guys are pretty soft. You cry a lot. You're definitely in your feelings, right? Pretty much consistently. I'm not sure you could exist without your feelings for a day, at least. That's basically the biggest claim, I would say, right? And you guys made TikTok popular, and that's terrible.
Are any of these claims true? It's about time we fought back. Today, I took to the streets to ask Gen X and baby boomers how they actually feel about Gen Z. Then,
okay, bro, hold on. We're gonna let it rock. We're gonna let it play, absolutely. But you should have went for millennials like me. I'm a younger millennial. Unfortunately, I'm closer to them. But that's not the point here, okay? You should have asked, some of the millennials, more so than Gen X and baby boomers, bro. They don't care. You're the great grandkids.
I'll do my own research to test if these claims are valid or slander. Starting with number 1.
Lazier?
Weak youngsters who don't understand how the world works. Work harder.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say
This is the
that.
snowflake generation. They have the work ethic of a dead salamander.
Objection. The claim that Gen Z is inherently
let's see where
more
this
lazy
goes.
than any other generation is rooted in cognitive bias and lack of context. Let me explain. In order to understand this, we have to look at the psychology behind generational conflict in general. The kids these days phenomenon is as old as time itself. It's the illusion that children in the present are significantly different and worse than how children were like a generation or two ago. It's kind of like those people who base their entire personality on the fact that they grew up in the 90s and they swear on their life no one born beyond the year 2000 knows what having a childhood is like. Like, whoa, okay, buddy. Y'all see one orange couch on TV and don't know how to act. Sometimes you just want to hit him with a
nobody asked.
so why do some people believe that the next generation...
Well played. Really quickly, so I would definitely say that Gen Z is not more lazy than anyone else. I mean, they have had more technological things in their life in their youth that probably molded them into how they are a lot of the times, right? I mean, I can imagine if you spend more time, on screens at all times. I mean, you have less human interaction. That probably is what caused all this ridiculous levels of weakness. Right? Maybe. But are they lazier? No, not at all. Things are not what they used to be. There were times where people, like two teachers, for example, two teachers that were married to each other could go ahead and purchase a house, and that house was a very nice house on a very nice piece of property, most likely backing up to a lake. Go ask two teachers right now, okay, in 2024, what they can afford being married to each other. All right? Unfortunately, we're in a time where everyone is making 3-4 times whatever their parents made, but yet their parents had a better life, while the parents are complaining that the younger kids are lazy. That's really how I see it from the outside, even though I'm in it. You get what I mean.
will always be worse than the last one for 2 reasons: memory bias and our tendency to overly criticize others in an area that we are already good at. To some extent, we are all a victim of memory bias. Our ability as a human race to recall events accurately with memory alone is flawed, which is why court cases can't be solved by eyewitness testimony alone. The longer the time gap between the actual event occurring and when you try to recall that event as a memory, the more opportunity you give yourself to forget specific details and or to have your memory be manipulated to fit your current beliefs, also known as selective recall. For example, if you already believe you had a harder childhood than kids do today, you're more likely to only recall memories that justify that belief. So it's more accurate to say your belief came first and you select past experiences to justify it, rather than saying your belief came from your experiences. Now, I was born in 1999 and I grew up watching 2000s TV. And if you grew up with me, you knew we had some bangers. I'm talking that I ran home, eyes glued to the screen, posture erect, waiting for the next Kids Next Door episode to drop. And I used to look at Kids TV Today in disbelief that they feed the youth such garbage. But I can't lie, after learning about memory bias and looking back at the full roster of shows we were given as a kid, we probably
those were solid ones there.
we had more misses than hits, because there is no way you're telling me this was prime TV. The second characteristic of the kids these days effect is the tendency to overly criticize others who are lacking in areas we are already good at. Have you ever had to train a new employee at your job and you are angry because they keep messing up at things from your perspective seemed basic? Or have you ever played a game or a sport that you're really good at against someone that was complete garbage, and you nitpicked everything they did to the point that how bad they were actually started to offend you? If you're already really good at something, you tend to be overly judgy. And the problem with this is that even if we try to relate and attempt to think back to how we were when we got started, we still only do so through a lens of how we are today. And you start saying things like, I remember struggling too, but I was never that bad. If you're an older generation, you are in a completely different stage of your life than Gen Z. Whether you have a family, kids, or anything else, you objectively have more responsibilities in your life currently. And majority of you guys are well into your careers already with 10 plus years in workforce. You're already used to the idea of sacrifice and hard work. Obviously, if you look at a younger generation who barely just got out of college and yet to experience the working world, we are going to look lazy in comparison, because you're not comparing us to how you were back then. You're comparing us to how you view yourself now. Y'all are grown adults making fun of kids with significantly less experience than you.
I don't think you guys are lazy. I think you're weak. There are two different things here. Please address the level of weakness in the room here.
Just got started. Shut up. But don't just take my word for it. Take it from Joseph.
All right.
Yeah. And he's about to drop some fire wisdom.
No, I mean, well, obviously, people make a remark, but if you make a remark, you don't have anything better to do. Empty barrels make the most noise.
Jeez, Joseph. Joseph must have been a chef at some point, because he definitely cooked. And now we have another woman giving her perspective.
We're all of those things all the time anyway, although we like to think not.
Right.
Everybody is prejudiced about everything all the time. And it comes from ignorance and from fear of the unknown. So I think from time immemorial, older people always thought we did it right, they're doing it wrong. You know, we walked 5 miles to school in the snow. You know, the whole old story. But I think it just keeps repeating itself over and over and over again.
And gosh darn it, she's correct. The amount of older people I see romanticize their past and using how hard they work as a badge of honor to justify their argument that Gen Z is lazy, it's kind of alarming. We were taught work. We had chores. I first grew up in Wisconsin, and most of my schoolmates were the children of farmers. They were up at 5 a.m. milking cows or gathering eggs. I didn't escape a life of work.
I would never want to do that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. I love the fact that someone went through these things, right? They lived that life. But I'm sure that person would also, in fact, look at me and be like, bro, you are lazy. 100%.
My father owned a honey business, and I remember at 5 years old putting together frames for the hives. We were taught how to work, and it was a fact of life. I never resented it. If we got lazy and did a lousy job, our father would make us do it all over again. It taught us to do the job the right way the first time. All my employers reaped the benefits of my upbringing. Lots of things have changed. Some for the better, some for the worse. But I can't help but see the worst. This is not a better world. This is actually a worse one.
Okay.
I mean, I guess I can't argue with that. I guess baby boomers are just that hardworking, and Gen Z really is that lazy.
For a whole generation that I suppose we would
basically everyone that's not a farmer apparently
now call spoiled kids.
This whole image of giving your children everything you had, and they have to be satisfied and they have to be content, and I think we gave them much too much.
We knew it was because you went to work, but I'm not sure our children realized that. And I have a strong suspicion that what happened in the late 60s was that the kids who rebelled took it for granted that life would improve automatically.
Spoiled kids.
Spoiled? But that doesn't make sense. Baby boomers are supposed to be the hard-working generation. Gen Z is supposed to be the one that's lazy. Actually, now that I think about it, here's an excerpt of an article I found that proves just how lazy Gen Z is.
Guys, there are multiple shots being fired right now.
Everybody was getting too darn lazy, and nobody wants to work anymore. That's the truth if I ever heard it. You see? I knew it. Gen Z really is the one that's late. Wait a minute. This isn't a recent article at all. This was made in 1952. But wait. Sorry, guys. Here's an actual recent article about Gen Z being lazy and not wanting to work anymore. Nobody wants to work anymore. Wait, this one's not recent either. This one came out in 1969. Most boomers would have been of working age at that point. That doesn't make any sense. Wait, but there's one from 1940? 1922, 1905, all the way back to 1894? Actually, there's an entire list of adults saying the same exact thing throughout history. How could it be possible that every generation at one point or the other was considered to be lazy or entitled? Well, there could only be one explanation. Either every generation in their adolescence is just lazy by default, and they wait until some arbitrary time in the future, and they stop being lazy all of a sudden, or everyone who holds that belief is a victim of their own bias. Truth is, there are way too many factors to...
Bro, this is a very well put together video, bro. I'm going to go ahead and congratulate you mid-video on this, actually. All right? You're proving your point. Again, I never said Gen Z was lazy. All right? I never said that. I think, it takes a lot of hard work to make up dances on TikTok. I get that, right? And cry.
To determine the work ethic of an entire generation. For example, a baby boomer who grew up on a farm and a baby boomer who grew up in the city literally lived two completely different lives and have two completely different work ethics. But the same exact thing applies to Gen Z in those same scenarios as well. The problem is that these people believe that the youth don't want to work, while not understanding that as society advances, the standard of how we work changes. The silent generation, born and lived through the Great Depression and World War II. Growing up with the patriotic values of fighting for one's country, they valued loyalty over everything else. So the standard of work at the time was stay loyal to one company until retirement. Baby boomers
but the company was also semi-loyal to the actual worker. Now we're at a time, unfortunately, where there is no loyalty with corporations or companies. In fact,
born in an economic boom shortly after World War II ended. Their optimism due to this post-war economic success made them more likely to take risk, and for the most part, job loyalty actually paid off back then because of the booming economy. Their standard of work was work hard at your job and your job will take care of you. Gen X, sandwiched in between two generations, shares similar values to baby boomers, but was the first generation where a dual income home, as in both parents having a job, became normalized and grew up needing to be more independent, many of which grew up entrepreneurial. Their standard of work,
and that was how everything doubled. When there are more people hitting the workforce, keep this in mind here, guys. I'm not trying to sit here and say, the man goes out to work, the woman stays home permanently. If that's not your lifestyle, it is what it is, right? But just be fully aware, when more people went to work, husbands and wives, there was more tax dollars that just evaporated into literally nowhere because the government really doesn't fund itself off of that. They fund themselves off of bonds, right? So where does this tax money go? I don't know, right? So then inflation starts to become absolutely crazy. Why? Because there's more income in every single house. This is back when, like right before the Gen Xers, was back when people were purchasing their houses for popsicle sticks, guys. Okay? Literal popsicle sticks. And then as soon as the two people from the households, mother and father, went to work, everything basically doubled and tripled. Have you guys ever seen the interest rates in that era, the 70s? The interest rates were crazy, guys. I mean, we can complain about them right now, but they were absolutely insane in that era, guys. But keep in mind, the prices of houses were also lower, so it meant different things then. But
work at the time was find work that gives you autonomy. Millennials, the generation everyone picked on before Gen Z. Millennials experienced massive advancement in technology and drastic social and economic change. They're old enough to remember 9/11 and the '08 crash, so they know that they have to be flexible to survive. But they also...
I was skipping school the day that happened. The 11, right? Absolutely. I remember seeing it on TV, right? It was wild. I have no idea what grade I was in. I forgot, right? But I was absolutely skipping school. I was in high school, though.
Remember 9/11 and the '08 crash, so they know that they have to be flexible to survive. But they also know that the idea of a safe, secure job doesn't exist anymore. So the standard work of their time period was find something flexible that gives you a work-life balance. Gen Z, the first generation to grow up with the internet, and also the first generation to question the old mantra of staying loyal to a company. In an age where where a corporate company will let you go faster than they hire you, and the rise of social media and the internet giving us more options than ever to make money. We're the first generation to realize that there's no need to settle for a company that's not going to treat us how we're worth. Whether you like it or not, the new standard of work for this generation is work for a purpose and don't settle for less. Gen
that's fair.
Z is not lazy. We have more options, and the standard for work has changed. Regarding the first claim, is Gen Z lazier than other generations? Slander. Conclusion, keeping historical and societal context in mind, Gen Z is no more lazy than any other generation given the circumstances. On to number 2.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. I appreciate you, honestly, getting into this topic, because this is my only gripe with them. I understand Gen A are going to fix these people. Okay, they're going to fix the world. Gen A, let Gen Z ruin the world, and Gen A will fix it. All right, that's kind of what's happening right now. That's what I'm seeing. The kids of the millennials. All right, they're going to fix it. They're going to fix it.
Generation Snowflake.
This is the Snowflake generation.
Is Gen Z soft?
Come to call Generation Z, referred to as the snowflake.
We have a group of people entering the labor market that are snowflakes. They believe that when they speak, the words from God are coming out of their mouth.
Objection. The belief that Gen Z is softer and weaker than previous generations is another case of generational stereotyping.
Okay,
For anyone
let's
who
go.
unironically believes that Gen Z is a soft generation,
you are. There's no. Listen. I am not joking. Okay, you absolutely are. You're too emotional. Okay, I'm sorry. You're entirely too soft. You're entirely too soft. Okay. There's nothing else to say here. Whatever information you're going to give, I'm going to pay attention. And if it's, if it's viable, I will absolutely soak it in and change my theory. But every single one of them that I've encountered in real life has been absolutely soft. Okay? Completely, like pillows. All right? What are you crying for today? What's wrong? All right? Collect yourself, please.
where are you basing this belief off of? And I'm not talking about physical weakness. We all know about the obesity crisis and that one picture that compares high school boys from 50 years ago to now. Usually when people talk about Gen Z being soft, they're referring to sensitivity, as in, this generation is too sensitive. This generation gets offended too easily.
Okay.
All they care about is their mental health. And the term snowflake gets tossed around so much that it just became another buzzword. We already talked about the kids these days effect earlier. Do I really need to bring up the fact that this rhetoric isn't new either?
Precious snowflakes.
Snowflake.
The snowflakes.
Snowflake. Snowflake.
Snowflake. Millennial complaining syndrome.
Self-absorbed.
Self-absorbed.
Distracted.
They get distracted. Entitled. Lazy, entitled, millennials. Entitled.
Almost every complaint people have about Gen Z today, they've already said word for word about.
I know. I know. We absolutely know. We know this absolutely. Every single generation has been absolutely getting softer. All right. Listen, the male grip strength over the last 100 years has absolutely destroyed itself. All right. Listen, the levels of testosterone in the male's body is starting to evaporate over time. All right. I get that. Okay. So yes, I'm sorry. Every generation is in fact softer than the next one. All right. So we millennials are absolutely softer than a generation before. Fact. Okay. So yes, is Gen Z super soft? I think the times have been good for too long and it's just created soft men.
Millennials a few years ago. Does this hold any merit? Are kids today really that sensitive? Or is this another case of old people complaining about young people? Obviously, this is another case of generational stereotyping, and this belief usually stems from a lack of context and nuance. But I can't lie, there is some merit behind this. To gain a broader perspective, I've asked a young person, another Gen Z, to gain a different opinion on the topic.
Let's start off with the positives. I like that we will stand up to authority. Like, for instance, with our jobs, we won't take anything from our bosses. These are my boundaries as an employee. I demand to be paid a respectable living wage, or else I'm going to leave and get a new job. Compared to like previous generations that just stick it out in a bad situation. But then the thing that I don't like about this generation is, our outlook on life. I would say we're very depressed. It's good that we're more aware of mental health and that we do recognize that there are pressures in life that may be too hard to suck it up. But I feel like we need more stoicism in the sense of this generation. Just
stop allowing your masculinity to erode. Sorry. Yes, you need more stoicism.
Too hard to suck it up. But I feel like we need more stoicism in the sense of this generation, just a mentality that life is tough, but I'm going to get through it, and I'm going to progress.
And
it's okay
he's
to be a man,
absolutely correct. There is an uptick in the mental health crisis in the younger generation, due in part to the emergence of social media, while simultaneously being hyper-conscious of social issues in the world. And thanks to this hyper-awareness of mental health and social issues, Gen Z, on average, are more sensitive to topics that, in their eyes, seem less tolerable. So if you think Gen Z is soft because
less tolerable because a lot of these issues that they care so much about are literally less than 1% of the population. But that gets magnified absolutely and multiplied on all social media, specifically to TikTok. So they think that these absolutely minuscule causes are destroying the world
because of their perceived lack of resilience and their sensitivity to social issues. I guess you're correct.
Yes.
But the magic word
absolutely valid
needed here is nuance. Because I doubt Margaret is keeping the current mental health crisis in mind when bashing Gen Z on Reddit. Real quick, for everyone who says that,
okay, but I am though. I do though. Okay? I absolutely understand the plight of Gen Z. I understand what us big brother, big sister millennials did to these Gen Zers. I know. I was there for it. Okay? All right, we didn't do well for you guys. You know, we wanted to go out, hang out, and we didn't want to bring the little brother or little sister. No, let you stay inside the house with your iPad or your tablet, your Android tablet, whatever it is, right? Your video game. We did not help socialize you guys. So yeah, we made you soft by all the good, safe times you had hanging out in the house while we millennials were out partying, right? We should have been better to our younger siblings. We weren't.
Question. Come a little bit closer. Have you spent any considerable time with Gen Z?
I have very little interaction with the younger generation. I don't have children. I don't have grandchildren.
Okay.
So I basically have nothing to do with the younger generation. So it's you. You're it.
Do you feel there's a pattern of the older generation hating or disliking the younger generation?
Absolutely.
Only if they're not in touch. But if the older generation has grandchildren that they are in touch with, that would be a different answer.
This is important for many reasons because perception is everything. Typically, our view on a particular group of people is based upon the amount and what type of exposure we personally have with said group.
That statement means a lot because it's not just generational things. It's also people that look different to you, right? From you, culturally different. You tend to care a lot more. Absolutely about more of what you see. Right? That's why if you ever lived in Queens, New York, or ever hung out in any meaningful time in Queens, New York, you'll start to realize that you start to care more about everyone that you see around you. Even though this is the most diverse, visually diverse place on earth, right? You will in fact start to care more about different cultures just by being in the proximity of so many cultures. It is absolutely beneficial to humans to not be around or stuck in echo chambers, any type of echo chambers. And he's kind of pointing out that right there.
Upon the amount and what type of exposure we personally have with said group. Let's say you have very little interaction with a certain group of people, as in you never or rarely hold conversations with them and you don't have any of them as friends. But the only times you are exposed to a person of that group, you see them being loud and obnoxious. And you look online and see one or two videos of people of that group also being loud and obnoxious. Based on that limited exposure, it's likely you'll assume all people of that group are loud and obnoxious, while ignoring the possibility that maybe only a small percentage of people within that group actually behave that way. But if your only exposure is that small percent, you'll think everyone acts this way. And the same works on the opposite end. If you are a part of a particular group of people, it's common to think, why are people of my blank so loud and obnoxious? When in reality, your only perception of your demographic outside of yourself is based upon your personal circle and a few other people you see online. My theory is that there is a bunch of people who have very little or virtually no interaction with Gen Z. They see a couple videos on TikTok of a person who happens to be Gen Z crying or complaining, and they assume that's how the entire generation must behave. Calling Gen Z soft because you see a couple people making a fool of themselves on social media is just like saying all baby boomers were hippies because you saw a couple of them on TV.
Wait, they weren't?
The media wasn't around back then, but I'm sure the silent generation said the same about the baby boomers when they rebelled in the late 60s. So what does this all mean? Does this mean to avoid stereotyping we should befriend every Gen Z on the planet? Nah, just means that be aware whatever overgeneralization of a generation you have is usually not correct and usually stems from a loud minority of people. That's it. So back to claim 2.
Ooh, that's so clean as a statement. Yeah, that's about right. I mean, you generally, a lot of the times when you're trying to formulate any type of stereotype in your mind that you may not think you're actually doing, you are basing it off of the loudest in the group. Well played, sir. Well, absolutely well played. Again, wouldn't call them lazy, just weak. Still hasn't changed my opinion because I'm around these people, guys. All right.
Stems from a loud minority of people. That's it. So back to claim 2. Is Gen Z soft? Plausible.
Yes.
Conclusion: Gen Z has a unique hyper-awareness of mental health issues, and their tendency to question authority and traditional societal norms created a sensitivity to social issues. However, keeping nuance in mind is to understand that our stereotype of Gen Z being soft may be from our limited exposure with the generation.
No,
so
they're soft.
Where do we go from here? To be clear, the point of me making this video wasn't to bash older generations, and not even really to defend Gen Z. With the amount of noise there is on the news about how quote-unquote terrible Gen Z is, I was curious to see if the older generations actually felt that way. And to my surprise, every person of the older generation who agreed to sit down for an interview only had positive things to say about the youth. So
listen, it also matters where you're doing these interviews. I can't place any of it based off of his accent, maybe East Coast, maybe New York area. It could be like if it's New York and you're going to New Yorkers specifically in like a nursing home and you're asking questions like this is not going to work. Go somewhere else. Go to a place that is literally known for, let's see, not so much diversity in anything. Keep this in mind. Like if it's New York, they're used to understanding different things all the time. Go somewhere where there's literally zero visual diversity, have that conversation. You're going to have a different answer every single time.
It's only right that I end this video off with a few of my favorite moments I had speaking with them and asking how confident they are in the younger generation's ability to lead in the future, with the hopes of adding to the conversation to say that if we aren't in touch with the other generations, our perception of them likely isn't true.
Yeah, very much so.
You're very much confident?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah, really?
They'll be so much better than what we have now.
You know what they say in Africa? They say the children are the wealth of the nation. Children are the future.
Yeah, bro, you are in the wrong place to ask these questions. They're going to, like, we can kind of forecast the answers that are going to happen here. And exactly this answer tells me that I was kind of right to begin with, bro. Go somewhere else. I would like to fund this man's next video with travel, all right? Just to get to somewhere or someplace that is slightly different. Ask these same questions. Ask these same questions somewhere else.
About you.
Upstate New York. Have fun.
I depend on them. I need them more than they need me.
Believe in the rights that you have in this country and stand up for them.
Who's going to lead the world? I mean, that's why when I see a kid that's doing what you're doing, I'm proud, I'm happy.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? It means a lot.
And in the words of the great Joseph.
Ciao.
I'll turn off the camera.
This is a good word to learn in Italian. Ciao.
Ciao.
It's goodbye.
It's good. Yeah. Oh yeah. Italian.
All right, bro. Listen, I appreciate this video. This video was very insightful. Anything that we can do to create a conversation about anything that breaks or has the ability to break an echo chamber is absolutely amazing. I think this one is a good example of that, right? There are people who absolutely think that Gen Z is lazy. I don't doubt that. I'm not one of these people who think they're lazy. I've always just thought that they were weak, soft, frail, brittle. Anything that you can mention that's like easily broken, right? And I still think the same, and apparently he does also. I don't need the nuance. I understand the nuance. I understand what caused them. A lot of really good times, a lot of safety, causes weak men. That's what this is, bro. It is what it is, guys. But all right, listen, let me know in the comments the next thing I should be checking out, and I will get into that as soon as I possibly can, all right? And listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Definitely, guys, I'm going to leave the this guy's link in the description, not just, in the pinned comment, guys, all right? I think he has like less than 4,000 subscribers. It doesn't make any sense for this quality of video, guys. So, all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd, along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.